What do we learn from Usman versus RDA? I honestly don't feel like covering the rest of the card because, let's be real, who the fuck cares? The Ultimate Fighter fights were good. Both people won impressively. Juan took that fat guy down and completely destroyed him, and then the lesbian with short hair won, Kiasi or something. She won as well. Overall, it wasn't the most entertaining night of fights, really. So whoever got the fight of the night that night was very lucky. It might have been Usman versus RDA. That's how boring that night of fights were. Um, but yeah, it was a good night of fights. Pedro Munoz beat Brian Caraway very convincingly. I called that one, which is good. Darren Stewart got ridden out by that boring fucking wrestler that did no damage from top position. That was rough to watch. But the main event is what we all want to talk about. Usman versus RDA. I was watching it. Wasn't the most entertaining fight, but it is Usman, so, when he gets his game off on people and just dominates them, it's not going to be that entertaining. However, we did learn a few things. We learned that anything Colby can do, Usman can do to RDA. But I'm assuming but this is the big one. Usman seemed to really he did test some strikes out on the feet, but RDA was a lot quicker, a lot more accurate, a lot better with the leg kicks. He was leg kicking Usman a lot, and that seemed to be working for him. Usman was landing some shots, but they didn't seem to affect RDA that much. But Colby was doing quite well on the feet with RDA. So, yeah, that's what we learned there. But also, we learned that if Colby can take RDA down, Usman can. So, but in the first round and the second round, mainly the first round, I was thinking to myself, because Usman failed 2 takedown attempts straight away, I was thinking to myself, wow, look at what Colby did in the first round. He took RDA down at least 3 times, rode him. But I think that what they do differently is Colby's more of a smothering wrestler where he's just going to go transition, 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 transition. Usman's just the kind of guy to just try and get you down and then land some ground and pound. And he did. He landed a lot of ground and pound, but it just seemed to be, surprisingly enough, for how fucking muscly he is and massive he is for the weight class, he doesn't seem to hit with a lot of power, because RDA was eating a lot of shots that should have been knocking him out. And he was just absolutely fine with them, just transitioning, hip escaping, taking massive shots that looked like they should be knocking him out. But either RDA's chin is godlike and only Jeremy Stevens can knock him out, or Usman doesn't hit that hard for what he looks like. Anyway, what I did take from the fight is that Usman is a weight class above RDA. And I know what people are going to say. Oh, people weren't saying that RDA isn't a 170 pounder when he beat Magny. Magny's not that impressive of a win. Robbie Lawler isn't that impressive of a win anymore. These are guys that are over the hill. I never saw... Because remember, Robbie Lawler and Donald Cerrone had a close decision. Look at what people in the welterweight division now have been doing to Cerrone. Jorge Masvidal, Darren Till. It's just... There's a difference between these up-and-comers and the old guys at the top. And I think we're finally seeing that changing of the guard. Now, I still want to see Colby versus Woodley. But overall, I think this is a good move for the welterweight division because we got new blood in the top. RDA, as much as I like him, he's an old guy. He's been there for a while. He's probably not going to get another title shot. Time to get the new blood in. And Usman did work on him. He did work. But there's definitely some holes in Usman's game, particularly in the stand-up. Because he was so much bigger than RDA, he should have just been able to fucking jab his face off, kick him when he wanted, just have his way with him. But RDA was just real good movement. Kept backing himself up to the cage, though, almost intentionally. I don't know why that was, but yeah. Apparently Usman's going to get the title shot next after this performance. I don't agree with that. I think Colby should get it. I think there's something behind the scenes that's gone on with Colby and Dana White. Maybe after they stripped him of the interim belt, which was kind of unfair. Because he literally just fought and they said, right, we need you again right now. But he's just gone 5 rounds of RDA, But I think after they stripped his belt, he might have had a few words to say to Dana White. And that's probably skewered things a bit between their relationship. So, now we got Dana White calling for Usman to fight Woodley. Probably going to be the least paid attention to title fight for a while. I mean, they're two of the most, good performers. Like, they're good, good in the cage. Both have dominant dominant skill sets. Both really good athletes, but both really boring and really unfunny and really cringy and really no one likes them at all. But yeah, should be interesting. And it just kind of shows, Usman could have got on the mic, called out Woodley, called out Colby, called out anyone, Darren Till, and it would have been amazing if he just called out someone, got on the mic, did something interesting, and instead he just went, "Yeah, I just wanted to dominate, and I'm not gonna call anybody out. I'm done talking because I never get the fight that I want, and yeah, just whatever happens, I'll fight them." Just fucking idiocy in this. Fucking idiots. And they wonder why it hurts me to watch this because the UFC is dying. And it really does hurt me to watch. Because Usman had his chance on the mic. He's been talking all this shit before. And now he doesn't want to talk shit anymore. He's done talking. He never gets the fights that he wants. He never gets the people that he calls out. It's just fucking ridiculous. And then it's the same thing when Woodley beat Darren Till. You're going to have a lot of viewers on the Octagon interview online because Darren Till carries a lot of the stardom and the hype up into that division. And it was a title fight, so it's going to get a lot of views. Woodley goes, "I'm not going to call anybody out because if I call them out, then I won't get them." It's just stupidity at the top. Fucking victims, both of them. But yeah, great fighters. And I think that's a good fight to make. However, I do think that Colby deserves a shot because he beat both the guys that Usman beat before Usman did it. And he's been waiting. And the fight definitely needs to be made. And if you don't make the fight, then you could miss out on the chance to have Woodley versus Covington, which would make Woodley seem like a nice person and actually likeable just because of how Colby is trying to be hated. It would actually lead Woodley to be seen as like a cool guy. You know what I mean? People like Woodley not because of his personality, because he doesn't have a personality and he's boring as fuck and unfunny as fuck and just cringy in general, but they'll like Woodley just because they want him to beat Covington. So that's what's going to happen here, and I think that needs to happen for Woodley or for Covington. If Covington wins, it's great for the division because he can call someone out on the mic. He can probably get a big fight if he wants. He could probably take on Khabib or something like that. Colby Covington's got to talk on the mic to cut a promo. But if Woodley wins, it might be good for him. It depends if people actually cheer for him over Covington, because people might even boo Woodley still, because no one cheers for Woodley, ever. And if Woodley and Usman is the next fight to make, then I'm guessing that's going to be a co-main event of some fight, because, yeah, that's rough. That's real rough. In my opinion, it should go like this. It should be Covington versus Woodley. We set up a little welterweight tournament. We'll do RDA versus Stephen Thompson. Get that signed and done. Ben Askren versus Robbie Lawler. Get that signed and done. Usman versus Till. Our Lord and Saviour Darren Till could be the guy to stop Usman's wrestling game, taking out another division and putting it on the sleep list. Because, when you get them dominant wrestlers sometimes in the divisions, and that's their style, just smother, then it kind of kills the division. But Darren Till could be a guy to beat him. It's a bad matchup for Darren Till. I think Usman will be the favourite there, and I would pick Usman to win. But Darren Till versus Usman, Colby versus Woodley, Ben Askren versus Lawler, and Stephen Thompson versus RDA. I think that's great. And then whoever wins out of Jorge Masvidal versus Nick Diaz, you can chuck them in the mix as well for a guy who lost or a guy who won but isn't enough to get the title yet, So just let's say if God exists, Nick Diaz beats Jorge Masvidal, and then you can give Nick Diaz to maybe Ben Askren, Nick Diaz to the winner of the loser of Till and Usman, or just give Nick Diaz to Darren Till. That'd be a great fight. There's fun to be had in the welterweight division. But yeah, good night of fights. Kind of boring at times, but I stayed up and watched. It was good. And that Juan guy from the Ultimate Fighter, the heavyweight. He's dangerous. He really is. That wrestling is a real thing, and he's just chucking guys about like they're nothing. Anyway, yeah, rough. I wanted RDA to win just because he's a bit more exciting than Usman, but Usman showed that he's not completely boring because the fight wasn't that boring. Like I could stay awake for it, you know, but it was quiet. Just get him to the cage and smother him with takedowns. But yeah, great game plan. Completely followed what Colby Covington did to RDA and took the game plan, ran with it, and RDA doesn't like that pressure style, you know. He does bad when he's under pressure. Very well done by Usman. Good fight. Let's see what's next. Usman versus Till. Woodley versus Covington. Ben Askren versus Lawler. Stephen Thompson versus RDA. I'm calling it, boys. I'll see you later. Like and subscribe. I'm going to be live soon for UFC Adelaide. So if you're watching this within 2 hours of it being out, that's where I'll be. See you later, boys.